but where does the true reform come from? And, you know, I listen to frustrated teachers and principals because they have real challenges at the school level, whether it be, you know, inactive parents or whatever it might be, not enough money at the school level. There are many, many reasons for the different challenges. But what I would say is there are success stories out there in regards to high poverty areas where they, you know, there's true challenges for teachers and principals. And those teachers and principals, some of them are very successful at their particular school in regards to innovative thinking and how do we get the student engaged. So although it's a very challenging job, I know that many of the students and many of the parents and many of the teachers and principals that I know are up to that challenge. And, you know, we've just got to figure out how do we get that money down to the school level so that they have the proper supports for that student.
My fear is, as a nation, that we are not competing and staying abreast with the rest of the world. Supposedly right now, America's got the most money and the most brains, but we're not showing it in terms of our educational system. We don't have the evidence that we are going to stay on top economically. We are going to stay on the top militarily if we, in effect, we are slipping. So my concern is, in the long run, and also from a democratic point of view, education is the great equalizer. How do you go from nothing to being president of the United States? You do it by education. You do it by excelling and showing what you can do. And education is so important.
And information is key. As we move forward in education, information is key. And the kind of data that we get back is that this generation and the generation before, you had more college graduates from the older generation, you know, than we are producing today. When you have that, when you have us on the national and international scale of test scores or achievement tests and that sort of thing, that we need to look at that and say, you know, I don't want to be defensive, you know, and take down that defensive posture and really say, okay, whatever the challenges may be, how do we approach the problem and how do we get true education reform here in Hawaii? I've got to tell you this one quick story of someone that I was talking to this past weekend. And this person told me that their public school teacher and principal, when their son was in one of our public schools, told them that this boy has potential. And what we've seen in their later years of elementary school was that he wasn't meeting that potential and he was actually downplaying his abilities. And they recommended that he go to a private school. And even though they couldn't afford it, but you know, they ended up testing for a private school and getting into one of our you know, really good private schools here in the islands. But to me, whether or not you can afford private school, it's just, you know, when you look at the end of the day, you take a look at a student and you say, because you can't afford private school, that, you know, you have to go to a public school. And I think the quality of education for everyone, we should all have equal access to a quality education.
You know what Mr. Sosa said, why kids in private school do better?
Why is that?
Because it's cool to be smart. Whereas in the public school, it's not cool to be smart. So if it's cool to be smart because the parents are saying, look, we're paying for you to go to this school, you better be smart. Everybody's got the same cultural orientation, if you will, that you better go there and you better excel. That's why the notion of not dumbing down the expectation, but bringing them up to where, hey, everybody can excel. There's nothing that says that brains are only related to certain socioeconomic levels. Everybody is randomly given different types of intelligence possibilities. And what we do as policymakers is hopefully bring out the best of each one's God-given potential, of which right now the system, according to your question, Sarah, your long dissertation, it's not meeting expectations. Nobody's happy with it. But what Lynn just brings out, I want to put a test to the people of Hawaii. Those of you who are 40 years above and have children who are 25 years and above, are you 40-year-olds more educated than your children 22 to 25 and years above? The statistic that she's mentioning is that you, the older generation, are more educated than the younger generation. Heretofore in the history of the United States, every younger generation excels their parents' generation. I mean, of course, they always thought they were always smarter than their parents, but getting actual formal education. Right now, we have slipped behind to where our younger people are less educated than our older people. That's got to change. That is a wake-up call for all educators, for all policymakers, and particularly for the state of Hawaii, which, as I said, because of its Asian cultural orientation to higher education, we should be showing the nation what is to be done.